Well, folks, I picked a lousy day to have no guests on my program, what with an entire village of viruses living in my sinuses. But anyway, we got a lot to talk about anyhow. You're welcome to call in and join this conversation. We're going to talk about viruses a little bit. We're going to talk about progress on immigration reform in Oregon. We're going to talk about the frontline piece on climate change again, because that's a critical topic. We're going to talk about how Warren County residents are gambling on gambling. And we're going to talk about pay equity, among other things. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ed Fallon here, folks. Gateway Market and Cafe is your locally owned source for specialty groceries. Enjoy chef-crafted, prepared foods, artisan baked goods, organic produce, specialty cheeses, and hand-selected wines and craft beer. Visit the lively cafe for breakfast, lunch, or dinner 7 days a week. Gateway Market is centrally located on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Woodland Ave. Stop by or visit www.gatewaymarket.com for more details. That's Gateway Market, folks. Good food, great community.
This moment of silence brought to you by Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering, home of Des Moines' premier rooftop dining experience. Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
On March 28th, Equal Justice After Hours is Iowa Legal Aid's annual fundraiser that helps provide access to justice for low-income Iowans. The event includes a reception and program at the Temple for the Performing Arts in Des Moines. It also includes remarks by Georgetown University law professor Peter Edelman and the induction of Robert Oberbelly into the Iowa Legal Aid Hall of Fame. Tickets start at $50 and sponsorship opportunities are available. Contact Terry Bennett at tbennett@iowalaw.org. That's tbennett@iowalaw.org.
Ludwig van Beethoven here. I used to be so tired all the time, not from composing and playing, but from moving my piano. But now I feel so much better. I call S&P Piano, and they will bring my piano anywhere. They also sell and rent pianos, used ones, new ones. You get the idea.
Call S&P Piano right away at 208-6453. That's 208-6453.
S&P Piano.
Times are tough, and most people are just trying to make their cars last a little bit longer. That's why you should know about Sargent's Garage in Des Moines. You can trust Sargent's to make the right diagnosis and give you a fair price. Whether it's a routine oil change or a major repair, Sargent's always does outstanding work. So don't give up on that old car just yet. Call Sargent's Garage at 246-8149. That's 246-8149 for Sargent's Garage.
Nestled in the heart of downtown, Ritual Cafe is one of Des Moines' most unique places, offering a wide variety of coffee and tea. Ritual Cafe also serves the only all-vegetarian menu in town. And Ritual Cafe is a cultural hub for artists and musicians, with a performance stage hosting local, national, and international talent. Make Ritual Cafe a part of your daily ritual. On 13th Street between Locust and Grand in downtown Des Moines. And check out ritualcafe.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
That, of course, is Brother Trucker's Town song, Downtown, kicking this conversation off. I do want to thank Iowa chapter of Sierra Club and the Iowa chapter of Physicians for Social Responsibility for sponsoring the Fallon Forum. And I want to thank Gateway Market for backing this segment of our show. I want to apologize for my gravelly voice, although I did have one former legislative colleague tell me that I sound better like this. He says I should pretty much infect my sinuses on a permanent basis, and it would improve the vocal quality of my program. So don't know what you think of that. But here's what I think. I think this is a great day for you to call in because, pretty much if you want to talk about anything, Yeah, even you, Frank. Yeah, it can happen today because the less I talk, the happier my vocal cords are going to feel. The number is 244-0077. 244-0077. And, perhaps you're going to, you like what you hear and you're going to just stick with letting me prattle on. Well, we're going to talk about gambling today, about immigration, about climate change, about pay equity as well. But I want to start off the conversation with a little reflection on, these sort of things come to you when you are blowing your brains out with a handkerchief, coughing fits. You think, what the heck's going on here? I have a friend who tells me that it's all positive thinking. Just put your mind to it, and you can get beyond these things. I kind of think that's a uniquely Western affluent, maybe not even just Western, maybe specifically American affluent way to think about the world. We're so used to getting our way in the world. So, just a matter of having the right thoughts and the right attitude, and it'll all come to you. And there's a whole bunch of literature on this, of course. The secret to success is just wanting it. Yeah, I don't really buy that. I think a positive attitude clearly is a good thing to have. Optimism is a good thing to have, but you gotta coat it just like you want to coat your throat on a day like this. You gotta coat it with some realism. The reality is that every life form out there is trying to eat some other life form, or move in, take up residence, or hitch a ride. Think about it. There are plenty of animals that would like to eat us, just whether it's a mosquito. And again, a mosquito knows it probably can't devour the whole human, but it's going to get off with whatever it can. A nice, little vial of blood. There are species, of course, that would be happy to devour the entire human being. And because of our tremendous success at populating the planet, they are now in zoos, preserves, or relatively rare. But, there's a lot of stuff out there, too, that just is happy to move in. Tapeworms, for example. Viruses, sir, I can imagine the viral, there's this family of viruses. A little pep talk in the morning. Hey, let's kick this day off with some positive thinking. We will find a host to invade. We will populate that host, multiply, and have a great future for our species. Who's to fault the viruses for wanting to have a positive attitude as well? Good for them. And they're going to butt up against our positive attitude in the end. Who knows who's going to win? There's all sorts of factors. Anyway, I lost this one, but we're fighting back. I am going to win this battle. The viruses will move on, but they probably will have accomplished their goal and again, I will never profess to being able to sink inside the mind of a virus and understand exactly what motivates it. But they won this one, despite any attempts I might have had at positive thinking or optimism. Their positive thinking and just the basic reality of the physical universe prevailed on their behalf. So congratulations, viruses. I hope you've enjoyed your stay. Now get the heck out and move on to somebody else. So yeah, again, everything is out there. Every life form is trying to eat you, move into you, or hitch a ride on you. Think about tapeworms. What would it? I was reflecting on this. The expression, the lamb shall lay down with the lion, or the lion shall lay down with the lamb. And that is a beautiful metaphor for humans getting along. I think people ought to be able to get along. I think the human species should be able to survive without hurting and killing each other. I really do. I think that's a goal that we can achieve. The human lions and human lambs should be able to get along with each other. But if you literally expect the lion and the lamb to lay down with each other, that poor lion is going to have its entire lion nature denied. That lion's nature is to eat that lamb. If you expect it not to eat that lamb, it's no longer a lion. It ain't any fun anymore, okay? National Geographic just isn't worth watching anymore. But similarly, the tapeworm. Okay, nobody really wants a tapeworm, but the tapeworm wants you. It would love to move into your intestinal tract. Okay, so the tapeworm, though. Okay, again, taking the lion-lamb metaphor to a logical and absurd conclusion. The tapeworms, the lions, the lambs, the people will all lay down and not have any conflicts. Okay, no. Tapeworms, that's what they do. They move into your intestinal tract. They take over, okay? Toe fungus, it needs a toe, okay? So let's move beyond the notion that we can somehow control every aspect of our destiny. We can do a lot, sure. But I really think that that perhaps the the genesis of this is the very unique situation we have found ourselves in as Americans. We're the, what we have currently, and we don't really have peace, but if you can call the relative stability compared to some times of history that we experience in the world, we used to be referred to as Pax Romana back 2,000 years ago when there was relative peace. Sure, there was a lot of oppression as well, a lot of very unhappy people trying to break free of Rome, just as there are folks trying to break free of Pax Americana, which is what we have today. And we are the beneficiaries of Pax Americana. And so we have a very positive view of the universe and of our ability to accomplish whatever we want. So it extends into things like not getting sick, or envisioning that you own a car and thus you will own it, or envisioning that you'll make a ton of money and thus you'll make a ton of money. Again, not to denigrate the power of positive thinking, but let's be realistic. You can't have it all, and that's a good thing, because if you have it all those tapeworms, toe funguses, and everything else that wants to eat you are going to starve to death. It would be horrible from their point of view. So, but the bigger issue here is politically. We're such a cozy, comfy society. We have really forgotten what it's like to have to really fight. To really work hard, to really, make huge sacrifices for not just our personal gain, but more importantly for our kids, for our community, for those who come after us. You see it. I argue with my pacifist friends, because my pacifist friends will say that war is always wrong, killing is always wrong. And I just, again, I think that's a position that you can hold when you come from a very, very comfortable, affluent, dominant society like America in the 21st century. But it's not realistic. I think about this is a conflict from the past, the Contra situation in Nicaragua. You had U.S. finance under Ronald Reagan. The Contras were U.S. finance mercenaries who would come out of the hills and kill innocent families. Your kids stood a better chance of not being gunned down by these Contras if you were defending them. You were able to defend your home. People may be surprised to hear me say this. Again, I'm mostly anti-war, because I think most war is wrong, and we saw a great commentary about that today regarding the Iraq War. A great editorial in the Register, calling on people involved with the Iraq War, the Bush administration, to come out and say, "Hey, bad idea. We lied. This is not a good war. It should never have happened." Much as Robert McNamara did regarding Vietnam. So I feel that most of our wars, nearly everyone I can think of since World War II, was misbegotten. But again, I think the hardcore across the board. I'm a pacifist. War is always wrong. Any killing is wrong. I don't buy that. I think Dietrich Bonhoeffer had it right. The Lutheran pastor in Germany, when he thought that his Christian duty was to assassinate Hitler. Again, it's hard for me to say that, but I think there are times when we have to think about the bigger picture, and we have to step outside of our comfort zone, which we are in a very, very comfortable zone as Americans. So back to the notion that you really have to fight, work hard, scrap to get by, to make life better for yourself, for others. I look at the immigrant community, and I look at my grandparents. I mean, they worked their tails off when they came over here in the 1920s, 1930s. They worked incredibly hard. They left Ireland for the same reasons that so many are leaving their home countries in Latin America, in Mexico. They left because of poverty, because of war, because they were hungry, because there was no economic opportunity. That is certainly the same thing that motivates a lot of people to leave their homes in sunny Latin America. Yeah, come on, the climate, heck, it's a lot nicer there in many months than it is here. But they come because they have to. And when they come, they work their tails off. The hardest working people I know are immigrants. They work so hard. And it's not, and they sacrifice, sometimes they sacrifice their own health, their own well-being, in order to see a better future for their kids and for the subsequent generations. Later, I want to talk about that relevant to the climate change situation, but specifically about the immigrant situation. I want to talk about the vote in Oregon, in the Oregon Senate this week. Very encouraging. This was sent to me by my daughter, who works with Latino immigrants in Portland, Oregon. But after several years of effort to try to create some mechanism to help immigrant youth who were brought here by their parents, so they had no choice. Again, no matter how you feel about illegal immigration, I think you could understand that the kids brought here are not culpable of any offense. They haven't done anything illegal. They haven't done anything wrong, ethically or otherwise. They ought to have a fair chance, and this is their home. So it was encouraging to see this vote in the Oregon Senate. I'm going to play a clip from one of the advocates who worked on this for the last 2 years.
Today, tuition equity passed in the Senate, and now it's moving to the governor's office. And it's very exciting for me because I've been working on this for about 2 years now, and there's people that have been working for this about 13 years, and I arrived to the United States about 11 years ago. So this means that there was hope that these students will get out and contribute to our community. And for me, it's very exciting because my brother is going to graduate this year from high school, and he's going to be able to do this pay in-state tuition. And my sister will graduate in about 5 years from now or 6 years from now. And we're really looking forward for this from the Latino community. I know a lot of students will be happy because there was a lot of students that we lost in the way who were 4.0 students who started working in the labor and agriculture. And now we have this opportunity for this coming class, starting from 2013, to move forward and start applying for these colleges and really contribute back to the community, because these students were built from the community like I was built. I was brought up by everyone here in Salem and everyone here in Oregon, and everyone had hopes to make this place better. And that's why tuition equity will make our state better and stronger.
Well stated, young man. Appreciate, again, my daughter sending me that reference there. Apparently the bill passed by a 19-11 vote, and some of the naysayers, again, their arguments aren't making much sense anymore, especially as the Republican Party moves toward a position on immigration reform that recognizes the need for extending a helping hand to people who are here. Having them. How did Rand Paul put it the other day? Something to the effect of, having 12 million people live in the shadows. It's not good for anybody. I can't remember quite how he put it, but that was the gist. And yeah, it ain't good for anybody. It's not good for the immigrants, their families, for the communities, for our country. And again, I recognize the need for communities, whether they be cities, counties, states, or countries, or the planet for that matter, to have some management of population. I mean, you have limits to what you can accommodate in terms of your economy, your employment opportunities, your housing situation, your resources. I mean, and it's a global issue. It's a global issue, and at some point, the population discussion has to enter into the conversation about how we see how we see a livable future for this planet. Because right now, as we move in the direction we're moving right now, it's we are more and more of us on this planet with less and less resources. Again, it's a complicated conversation because it involves poverty, education, and a lot of other factors as well. Because certainly in countries where you see efforts to improve the lot of the average person, where you have educational opportunities, population growth tends to go down. But as a planet, we still got major issues. So that has to be part of the conversation as well. But is there any doubt? I mean, and again, especially with the Republican Party coming on board on this, and they may be coming on board for political reasons. They may be coming on board because they know there is no way out. As a political party, they can't continue to alienate so many different constituency groups. So we see them reaching out to immigrants by being a part of the reform conversation. We see them reaching out to gays and lesbians by, in many cases, in some of them at least, embracing marriage equality. I am waiting to see them Republicans come out in support of climate change. Interestingly, a few years ago, they were. Romney, back in 2007. Gingrich. Remember Gingrich and Nancy Pelosi? How about who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Oh, John McCain. John McCain, remember him? Thinking about those people, they they came out in support of doing something about climate change. They recognize the problem. They recognize the human connection. Yeah, so I'm hopeful that the Republican Party, in addition to where it's moving on immigration and marriage equality, will begin to move forward on climate change. And I want to talk about that when we come back, because it's a huge issue. It's a very, very important issue. And the momentum on that issue is the wrong direction. Frontline does a great job at answering the question as to why. And it gives us some opportunities, I believe, to think about what we can do differently. We're going to talk about that when we come back. I do want to thank Gateway Market for sponsoring the first segment of this show today. Gateway is our neighborhood grocery store, locally owned. Of course, we have a few locally owned grocery stores in Des Moines, not many. Gateway is my favorite. They've got a tremendous line of products, a lot of it from local farms, local businesses. And they, again, not just groceries, they cater to all the things you would find in a regular so-called grocery store. And they've got a fantastic cafe for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Fantastic, and really some really excellent healthy options there for very affordable prices. So folks, keep your money in our local community, support a great local grocery store and cafe. That's Gateway Market Cafe at Gateway Market and Cafe at 20th and Woodland. Back in just a minute.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
The dawn of a new era begins.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 of webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going, man.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Look at me making all sorts of noises. I tear the paper to shreds. I want to thank Community CPA and Associates for sponsoring this segment of our show, and I want to thank Mr. Baber's Neighbors for that tune, Ode to Jones. All right, so we are making progress on a bunch of issues in this country. We're making progress on the marriage equality issue. We're certainly making progress on the immigration reform issue. You might say we've made progress on the health care issue. I'm not entirely sure. Mixed feelings about that. I certainly don't subscribe to the Steve King "let's repeal the health care bill" mentality. That's just silly. But there are areas where we are making progress. There are areas where we're not. Certainly, campaign finance reform is one where we're going the wrong direction, and climate change. We're going the wrong direction on climate change. Hard to believe that. Because part of the problem is we still regard climate change as just another issue. It's not an issue any more than World War II was an issue. World War II was a crisis. Climate change is a crisis. We responded to World War II with a dramatic outpouring of public support at every level. I remember my dad, as a kid, walking along railroad tracks in the South Bronx, picking up little pieces of tinfoil from cigarette boxes. That was his contribution to the war effort. Other contributions include cutting out certain foods so that more of the economic focus could be on defeating Hitler. We responded to it as a crisis. It wasn't an issue. What about the issue of World War II? The issue of Hitler? No, it was a crisis. Sandy Hook was a crisis. Hurricane Sandy was a crisis. We respond to the problem is those are easier crises to get a handle on. Climate change is tough because it's so big, so beyond our immediate daily experience. It really isn't. I mean, if you are paying attention and thinking and looking at the big picture, it's right there every day. Anyway, I want to run I want to talk a little bit about this frontline piece because I think it really did a great job at laying out the why we've gone from great public support to doing something about climate change to seeing the erosion of public support and the erosion of public opinion shifting from understanding that it's a problem and that it is human caused to beginning to believe that no, it's not that big a deal and it's not even mankind's fault. Why is that? Well, Frontline, I think, nails it. But again, the number to call here, folks, if you want to join the conversation is 244-0077, 244-0077. Let's go to line one. Who we got on the phone there, Chris?
We have got Ron on the phone.
Ron, welcome to the show. Hello, Ron.
There we go.
Sounds so good.
I don't sound so good, do I?
No, you don't.
No, I've got an entire family of viruses living in my sinuses.
Yeah,
it's a nice place for them.
I was going to comment because earlier you were talking about how people came into this country and worked to get ahead, and I was thinking about one thing, and people who do that still have this. They really have a lot more. They depend a lot more on extended family networks to get by. And what happens, I think, in a lot of ways, we kind of graduate into this individualistic, it's all about me mentality. And then when the chips are down, we kind of realize we don't have the networks to help us get by.
The rugged American individualism, that point of view.
Right. And because, if you notice, like, there are immigrant groups, and often they all open businesses. So the whole family is involved in the business.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
There's a great example up on 6th Avenue, 6th and College. It's an Asian family that opened the Asian food store. They bought the old Aldi's building years ago, opened the Asian food store, broadened it to include Latino products, and actually learned Spanish to be able to better market to the Latino community. Did it without any public money, survived the $7 million that the city foolishly plugged into the Top Value grocery store, and we'll see if they can survive the next attempt for the city on the city's level to distort the free market.
And I think when you're talking about this thing about, climate change becoming less interesting for people. I think that radical individualism has something to do with that, because people, they don't really connect. What does it have to do with them and their ambitions and their lifestyle, and why should they bother? And the other thing is, I was part of this good conversation yesterday that kind of pointed out that there's, among the other struggles in our country, there's really been a struggle for the last 20 years or so, maybe more, 30 years, between the intellectual types and the can-do types. I guess you might call them, and I like John Wayne, so I'm not too crazy about this, but kind of the John Wayne types, the kind of, they got some kind of instinct for survival and getting ahead. But in the last 20, 30 years, we've seen like the intellectual types getting ahead, the Bill Gates kind of people. And there's a lot of resentment about that. There's a lot of resentment, I think, it sounds odd, but I think there's a lot of resentment towards intellectuals and people who understand things in depth, because a lot of stuff is hard and people don't like hard.
Ron, are you watching this program on your computer?
No, I'm on a phone.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask if you'd comment on some of the images I'm going to share from the Frontline piece. I don't know whether you saw Frontline's Climate of Denial. Oh, sorry, Climate of Doubt. No?
No, I didn't.
No.
Now I'm interested in seeing it. But you know what? That's also a thing. I was when I sent you an email earlier this week. You got 46% of Americans, apparently, according to a survey, thinking that evolution is a myth or a hoax or something even worse.
How much? 46?
Well, about 46%. So if you got 46% of Americans potentially thinking that modern science is a hoax, everyth's up for grabs.
Yeah, where does that lead? I mean, logically, what's the?
It leads to the fact that I don't understand it. I don't want to bother understanding it, so it doesn't affect me. And part of it's learned helplessness. Okay, part of it's like, here's a problem. I don't know what I can do about it, so I'm just going to refuse to acknowledge it's a problem. It doesn't spell good for our society overall, but that seems to be the mentality. I'm in my little niche. I'm plugging away, trying to get by, and there are these problems that require some research, some thinking, and I have to take the word of people who are smarter than me, which I resent, and because I'm constantly being told. I mean, this is the political part, right? There are political groups saying, no, it's about you, and you can get ahead, and all these evil people, these greedy, corrupt climatologists or whatever, right? They're all trying to put one over on you. You need to trust the heroic Wall Street people and captains of finance and industry. They have your best interest.
Well, what's fascinating is to see where the ammunition for winning that argument is coming from. It's not coming from another group of scientists. Sure, they've got a couple pseudo-scientists on their side, but it's basically financed with money from oil industries, oil interests, and other folks who are getting rich off the fossil fuel industry and don't want to see us address climate change.
Well, because it's the same thing. We saw this mentality 5 years ago when the real estate bubble burst and we had the financial meltdown. How did that come about? Because you had people in the financial industry, and their total mentality is, "I'll be gone, you'll be gone." Yeah. Okay. Ouch. We're gonna get our stuff, or we're gonna rock and roll, and then we're out of here, and screw anyone else. And I mean, we actually had at least a vice president running on he kind of denied it, but Paul Ryan there, who's touting the virtues of Ayn Rand, and Ayn Rand is she's pretty honest. It's all about me.
Yeah, I love it. A Christian conservative touting the values of an atheist.
Well, yeah, and it's and her philosophy is, she puts it out there. Everyone should have the attitude that it's all about me, and then the world will be a better place. Well, someone
that kind of relates to my earlier conversation about every life form is either trying to eat you, move into you, or catch a ride on you.
Right. So
well, there's some
I don't
truth to
know.
that, of course, but you take it to again, you don't want to apply it to the human community. Gosh, we're one species. We ought to be getting along real well. We ought not to be cannibalizing each other.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good word to use, because in a lot of ways, what's going on in our society now is cannibalization. I mean, well, people are being exploited, I think, more than ever. The whole economy seems to rest on a rather complicated but still kind of obvious system of cheap and docile labor, global system of slave labor. And I was reading, it comes to us in the most bizarre forms. I was reading this article in The Nation yesterday. It made sense. It's March Madness, where everyone goes crazy over college football, basketball. And
I thought it was March Madness because we're all driven mad by the continuing wintry weather.
And no one gets around to really saying, hey, basically what we're doing is everyone's making money except for the poor black kids from the inner city, who basically are the the workers in this. I mean, they're the unpaid workers. This is a college sports. It's an enormous system of exploitation, and somehow we've turned it into this national party. So, but that goes off into college sports, and that's probably a whole show right there.
Yeah, somebody else's show.
Yeah.
Ron, thanks for the call.
Okay, thanks,
I
Mike.
appreciate
Hope you
it.
feel better.
Thank you. All right, let's look at this Frontline video. Again, this is a PBS special taking a look at why the public opinion on climate change had shifted so dramatically from people opposed to, people knowing it's a problem, knowing humanity's connected to it, and wanting to do something about it, to now, as Ron pointed out, not being so concerned. Frontline does a really good job at identifying why, and I'm going to run through a series of clips here and talk about each of them as we share them.
Warming isn't, in fact, accelerating. In fact, there's been none for 15 years.
There's Christopher Monckton, a big draw at these meetings, who brings the skeptics to their feet every time. Republican Congressman James Sensenbrenner of Wisconsin, Vice Chairman of the House Science Committee.
Okay, there we go. That's a conference that occurs every year or two, maybe it's every year, and brings together the leading quote minds on the anti-climate change bandwagon. And again, the mantra. I mean, it's shocking to me that you can repeat a bald-faced lie so confidently. But I guess if you repeat it often enough and have some element of science behind it, then yeah, you can get away with it. I mean, to say that there's been no warming in the past 15 years, when the last decade was the warmest in history, I mean, that takes some intellectual chutzpah. That doesn't make any sense to me. Again, I know how the Frontline goes on to interview some people who analyze it, showing that there's that basically they're kind of cherry picking the data to try to make their point. You can cherry pick any set of data and try to make your point, but if you want to be, truthful, if you want to be honest, if you want to have any scientific credibility, you don't do that. And to say that the last 15 years has been no warming, anybody who really is paying attention knows that's not the case. Let's go on with the next segment of this piece.
Made has dropped to about half.
We should get these books, I think. I agree.
It's a message that is inspiring a new generation of skeptics.
I would like to really listen to these scientists who came and talk and have dedicated their lives to debunking this fallacy, so to speak.
Once upon a time, what these people call...
Yeah, again... The point there was that we missed the beginning of that clip, but the first part of it said that the percentage of people who understand climate change as a problem, understand humanity's connection, has dropped dramatically. And there was an example of a young person who, has drank the Kool-Aid. It's again, even intelligent people are drinking this Kool-Aid and not understanding it. And again, these conferences. it isn't just a conference. It's an entire universe of propaganda that infiltrates the airwaves. Certainly, the commercial broadcast radio is eating this stuff up. There are books out left and right. There are legislative attempts at state legislatures. We'll talk later about North Carolina. It just goes on, and it's relentless, and it's really, really well financed. We're going to get to that in a bit. But again, just another segment here that shows the no warming mentality.
We once again saw Fred Singer.
This is a conference mainly for medical doctors.
Delivering his message to a group of physicians who seemed eager to hear it.
Tell me that there hasn't been any perceptible trend. You essentially get no warming trend. In the last 10 years, there hasn't been a warming. We don't know why that is, but one doesn't see any warming in the observations. Simply, there's no trend.
No warming in the last 10 years, no long-term trend. Climate scientists would say that's playing games.
Yeah, and again, the segment goes on to say, yeah, climate scientists are saying that that's just, again, cooking the books, so to speak, playing with the numbers, cherry picking what you want. But here's a guy, this guy's kind of become the prophet of the climate denier movement. I got to wonder how much he's getting from, excuse me, from oil interests. But, apparently he's a singer. This guy Singer is a lifetime contrarian. He was against efforts to prove smoking was hazardous. He was against efforts to demonstrate that ozone depletion was a problem. He makes a living out of saying no, and he gets a lot of attention for it. Maybe it isn't just the money he's in for. Maybe he likes the attention he gets. But you can have there's always just as there are bad talk show hosts out there and bad politicians, there are bad scientists who either don't really respect the discipline of their profession, or they intentionally misrepresent the truth in order to gain something from it personally. Let's look at the next segment. This is North Carolina. North Carolina passed legislation basically codifying the denial of the potential for sea level rise.
But actually, the whole thing has been moving up. If you look at all of the data, it's quite clear that the warming is continuing.
So the 2000s was the warmest decade on record. The 1990s was the warmest decade before that. The 1980s before that. And most of us in the field of climate science expect, but we can't be sure, we expect that the 2010s will be warmer than the 2000s.
Against the backdrop of all the pressure from skeptic groups, Congress ordered a comprehensive review of climate change research by the National Academy of Sciences. The findings came back even stronger on human-caused climate change, and a subsequent study showed 97% of active climate scientists agreed.
What's settled here on climate change?
Virtually every place on Earth is warming up, and people who've tried to go back and scrub the data, like is there a mistake with the way they're making these measurements, they've all concluded that no, the people who are doing this work at the key places around the world are agreeing with each other.
What's the bottom line, though?
Yeah, sorry, I skipped ahead of my notes there. That's, again, there's no, you cannot, with any integrity at all, get to a scientific position that says that climate change is not happening, that it's not human caused. Again, in response to some of this, they went back and did some research and found, 97, 98% of those who are involved with this discipline understand this is going on. Again, I think Ron is probably right. People are overworked, they're stressed out. They want to believe that everything's under control. They don't want to believe this is happening. And so it's probably an easier task for someone with deep pockets to fund opposition, call it research, that comes up with a different point of view. Okay, on to North Carolina. Again, North Carolina actually, voting in favor of denying climate change. This is one of their champions right here. This is a guy that, I don't know how he got elected, but here he is.
The Oregon petition.
If it wasn't for a little thing called the computer, we might still be making mixtapes. Find this, pause this, play this, eject this.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. Okay, not sure what happened there. Anyway, you let me know, Chris, when we have the right clip.
All right, yeah. Just a quick little ad there.
Okay. All right, we're queuing it up again. I think this is Representative
Sources
Cook.
for people looking to doubt the scientific consensus. People like North Carolina State Representative Bill Cook.
Who do you rely on?
I rely on whatever science makes good sense.
You want to show me?
Sure.
So this here is one of the sources.
Yes, this is a book by Fred Singer and Dennis T. Avery.
Right. And what about this book really was meaningful to you?
Well, it's very factual. It tells all the studies and gives you a complete bibliography on who did what kind of study and where it was done and when it was done and how it was done. This book made better sense to me than what I've seen from other sources. CO2 is a gas that is used by all these beautiful trees, grass.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Cook co-sponsored a bill to compel North Carolina to disregard scientific warnings about climate change. It was written by State Senator David Rouser.
Well, I don't necessarily listen to anyone.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to go to a quick break, folks. Again, that's what we're up against. Folks like that who, okay, Bill Cook does not appear to be the brightest bulb in the bag. He got elected, and again, he easily buys this contention that not a problem. And maybe that's what the wealthy folks who own homes along the North Carolina coast want to hear, but the science says otherwise. We'll be back in a couple minutes, folks. Thanks.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Community CPA is the 15th largest CPA firm in Iowa, providing audit, tax, and accounting services. Community CPA specializes in international tax treaty and double taxation avoidance among countries and states. 9 dedicated, experienced, hardworking staff are the company's foundation, and their compassion towards every client is the secret behind Community CPA's success. At Community CPA, you can expect quality service year-round. Call 288-3188. Community CPA, 3816 Ingersoll. Experience the difference.
This is Dr. Holding, the Story County Veterinary Clinic. For 15 years, we have been spaying and neutering feral cat groups at affordable prices. Wild cats destroy game birds and songbirds. A single female cat can produce over 4,000 kittens in 7 years. The shelters are full, so unwanted kittens will be put to sleep. Your cats will stay home and stay healthy. Call us for all your dog and cat needs at the Story County Veterinary Clinic between Ames and Nevada on Highway 30, 1 mile east of Interstate 35, 515-232-8766.
Since 1994, Sid's Catering has graced Des Moines area events with quality service and rave reviews. Owner Sid Cohn's culinary career began with a Northeast Iowa vacation home for international clientele. Sid earned a Bachelor of Science in Hotel Restaurant Management and was the assistant clubhouse manager at Des Moines Golf and Country Club. Sid has a passion for fresh, local products and offers a wide range of options, including vegan, gluten-free, and ethnic. Mention the Fallon Forum when you book your breakfast or lunch event and get 10% off. Contact Sid's Catering at 208-2091. That's Sid's Catering at 208-2091.
Local farms, global flavor. That's the secret to Hawk's growing popularity. The best meals begin with the best ingredients, and 90% of Hawk's ingredients come from local farms. In addition to seasonal fruits and vegetables, Hawk features grass-fed beef and lamb, and pasture-raised chicken and duck, all raised without hormones, steroids, or cages. The coffee is fair trade, locally roasted, and Hawk's House liquors come from right here in Iowa. Hawk's owners go the extra mile, composting organic waste and recycling. For more information or to make reservations, visit hawktable.com. That's HOQ table.com.
It's time to think about upgrading the efficiency of your furnace and air conditioner. Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling has provided honest, competent service for over 20 years. Whether it's your home or business, for repair work or to install a more energy-efficient furnace or air conditioner, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422. That's 263-0422. For honest, competent heating and cooling service, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422.
I love driving to Newton to see the races.
Me too, but I only have to drive across town.
You live in Newton?
Yep, Newton's got small town charm and it's close to Des Moines. I love the safe, friendly neighborhoods and family-owned businesses. And Newton's wind energy industry is really taking off.
How'd you find your home?
Dan Kelly with First Choice Realty. And Dan helped me find my office too.
Next time, instead of just speeding by, I'll stop in and check out Newton.
Why don't you check out Newton? Call Dan Kelly at 641-521-9260 or Dan Kelly at mchsi.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
That's Max Wellman, folks, and we're back to wrapping up our conversation here. I want to talk a little bit more about the climate change situation, but first I got to make a couple comments about the proposed casino in Warren County. I did speak with Warren County Supervisor Doug Scholl this morning briefly, and he was not able to join the program today, but would like to come on sometime next week. So I'd like to get his take on this. I am obviously a gambling opponent. Again, not morally, as some might. I don't see it as your decision to gamble, that's your decision. What bothers me is that when it becomes institutionalized and heavily supported in many ways through state and local involvement, you create an attractive nuisance, let's call it, an addictive destination that many people are incapable of resisting, and that not only destroys their lives and their families' lives, but it has a real detrimental effect on communities as well. The issue of how it again, you have only so much money to spend if you're not going to the bowling alley, the restaurant, the bar, because you're going to the casino, then the future does not bode well for those businesses. Of course, this is an interesting one because, you've got Doug Scholl and you've got some other big-moneyed interests pushing for this casino, and yet you've got Prairie Meadows and the folks down in Osceola, Terrible's Casino, who obviously don't want the competition. It's kind of ironic, really. They were certainly all for gambling when they wanted their piece of the pie, but now they're against it. And gambling does make for interesting bedfellows. And so in this case, I'd be on the same side as Prairie Meadows, I guess. I don't. The other argument that people who live in that area are making it, the entire county, all of Warren County gets to vote on whether or not this thing is allowed, and this will happen in early May. And all of Warren County votes whether to support or oppose it. And yet it's the folks who are in Norwalk, whose backyard it will be in, who are the ones that have to live with it and deal with it. And they don't want it. They see it as totally ruining the quality of life that they went there for. It's going to take a piece of farm ground and make it into a casino. And lots of traffic issues, who knows what else. But most folks there don't want it. And yet they apparently don't have the entire say over whether it goes there or not. Anyway, we might talk more about this as we move forward with the forward toward the vote. I do want to reference one other story of interest today. This is in a piece by Rekha Basu regarding work being done by Jim Addy with mapping strategies. There are folks who still don't get the fact that women make 77% of what men make in the workforce. The easiest way, I guess, to indicate your opposition to changing things so that pay equity exists is just to deny that it is even happening, and that's what this one letter writer wants to believe. But of course, the evidence is pretty strong. Addy's group did some pretty extensive research on this. he looked at jobs in the Des Moines School District and at 3 large technology area education agencies, the AEA, 267, Heartland, and Grant Wood. And the report, which again just came out in January, has not previously been made public. I'm looking forward to talking more about it. It's called Irony, Gender Pay Inequity Among Those Promoting STEM for Women and Girls. Excuse me, folks. It finds that overall, men make $13,000 more than women in AEA tech jobs and $11,000 more in tech support jobs. All right, so, there's lots of things behind that. And this is even in cases where women have greater qualifications or have more seniority. They still are making less than men in comparable positions. We've come a long way since the, this month, March 2013, marks the 100-year anniversary of the big March on Washington for the women's suffrage movement. We've come a long way from there, a long way since then. But obviously, we still have a ways to go. All right, back to climate change. I want to wrap up this discussion. Let me play 3 quick clips for you. This is who's funding the denier research.
There's a level of contributions, but we're very proud to have their support.
Americans for Prosperity. We're blessed with just such a leader in our chairman, David Koch.
With money from their oil and gas holdings, David Koch and his brother Charles, along with other powerful family foundations, have quietly become the venture capitalists of this free market ideology.
The American dream of free enterprise.
Yeah, the Koch brothers, no surprise there. They aren't the only ones, of course, but they've got incredibly deep pockets. They put a lot of money into campaigns, and this certainly is one campaign that they feel strong about, is denying climate change so that their source of gold, oil, continues to prosper. But it's had an effect. This is Obama and some of the leading Republicans back in 2007, 2008.
Issue or an environmental concern. This is a national security crisis.
The national call to action from just 4 years ago has vanished.
Global warming demand our urgent attention.
I think the risks of climate change are real, and that you're seeing climate change. I think human activity is contributing to it.
We don't always see eye to eye, do we, Newt?
No, but we do agree our country must take action to address climate change.
Why would you ever do a commercial with Nancy Pelosi?
That was really stupid.
Do you believe global warming, man-made global warming is real?
I believe we don't know.
We don't know what's causing climate change.
There is no such thing as global warming.
The science is not settled on this.
Even for President Obama, action on climate change has been only a passing reference in a close election campaign.
Climate change won't make it stop. These things won't make for a brighter future.
That issue is not good for them right now. If you notice.
Yeah, it's a scary situation, folks, to have gone from 2007, 2008. Gingrich sitting down with Nancy Pelosi and saying something needs to happen, and then him basically just doing a 180-degree turn in front of Sean Hannity. But Sean Hannity is one of the spokespeople, one of the mouthpieces for the denier movement, and he's got plenty of company on commercial radio. There's a lot of folks who are beholden to the Koch brothers and their ilk who are going to sing that tune and convince a big chunk of Americans, and they've been successful at it. They've been so successful at it, Republican candidates and Republican politicians have backed off completely, and even Democrats like Barack Obama, who spoke more strongly about the need for action before, do little, and Obama might be on the verge of approving the Keystone Pipeline. Let's look at one more clip.
There is now no concerted national response to climate change.
Worst wildfire season in Texas.
And delay, the scientific community says, is what the planet simply can't afford.
Climate change is coming. It means drought, it means fire, it means suffering.
The entire climate is changing. It's affecting our energy, our water, our agriculture, and our health.
Drought has forced it to drink from its last reserves.
The amount of sea ice on the Arctic Ocean in 2012 was a record low.
Monstrous heat wave. We'll all have to start getting used to this kind of thing.
The problem with climate change is that I think to many Americans it has seemed like a threat not to living generations but to future generations. And with that uncertainty and with the economic climate that we are in, Americans have been unwilling to impose a tax on themselves in order to protect generations as yet unborn. It may be that over the next 10 or 15 years, Americans will reconsider the ideas that were propounded by these campaigners, that there's a lot of doubt about all of the tenets of this science.
Well said. And again, problematic. We have our work cut out for us. You know, my efforts are going into the Great March for Climate Action. I believe this is one way we can begin to turn the tide. Certainly, whatever we can do to encourage conversations based on real science, not on science as bought and paid for by some oil industry lobbyist or CEO. The more we can, I continue to believe that Americans are good people, that Americans are intelligent. I think a lot of folks are just stressed, overworked, and inclined, as Ron said earlier, to not want to believe the worst possibilities. But again, the situation is dire, and we'll all do what we can. My efforts are going to be put into this march, and you can find out more about that by going to Great March for Climate Action. On Facebook, there's also a website. The website is www.climatemarch.org. Folks, if you want to be a part of the conversation on the show, always good to call in a bit earlier. I get tight on time. I got things in the pipeline, so to speak, and I can't move from that agenda. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. I will be back on Monday.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I am administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed rider, it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.